Welcome to our presentation on the role of pharmacists practicing in informatics. The purpose of this presentation is to describe the role of technology in the medication use process and to discuss the different responsibilities of pharmacists who practice in informatics. Today's presenters are Dr. Julie Puala, Dr. Tony Dow, and Dr. A.J. Tierney. Pharmacists in informatics play an integral role in all aspects of the medication use process. This process starts with medication ordering, followed by prescription review or transcription. The next steps are medication dispensing, administration, and monitoring. Although typically performed by nurses, pharmacists contribute to ensure that the technology used in the medication administration step improves the care and safety of patients. Technology is also used in the monitoring step to ensure that medications are used both safely and effectively. Within the ordering step, computerized provider order entry requires providers to enter medication orders directly into the electronic medical record instead of handwriting them. Electronic prescribing, or e-prescribing, involves entering the patient's prescriptions into the electronic medical record and transferring the prescriptions electronically to the retail pharmacy computer system, instead of providing the patient with a handwritten prescription and the patient bringing the physical piece of paper to the pharmacy to be filled. These systems have been used to mitigate problems related to illegible handwriting and errors in verbal transmission of prescriptions that have proven to be unsafe. Also, clinical decision support systems within these systems assist providers in their decision-making process by displaying information such as if the patient is allergic to the medication or if a dose of the medication is too high based on specific patient characteristics directly on the computer screen. As part of the transcription process, pharmacy information management systems are used in both retail and acute care settings. Oftentimes, the pharmacy information systems are within the same electronic medical record. Pharmacist interventions are used to track how pharmacists impact the care of patients. Clinical decision support tools are also used in the prescription review steps of this process to determine if the prescription is appropriate based on the analysis of allergies, lab results, indications, dose, route of administration, drug-drug interactions, and drug-food interactions. These technologies also generate computer-printed medication labels and allow for automated billing to the patient's insurance. Pharmacies have historically used informatics in the dispensing step of the medication use process to manage inventory or supply chain. Robotics ensure that the appropriate medication is dispensed to the patient using barcode technology. In product preparation, robotics automatically fill medication volume for both oral and intravenous syringe to ensure the proper volume is provided to the patient based on the ordered dose, and are also used to prepare intravenous or parenteral nutrition for patients who are unable to eat. The barcode verification of drug products confirm the appropriate medications are placed into solution to deliver drug therapy directly into the patient's bloodstream. Automated counting machines are part of retail pharmacy practice to ensure the patient receives the correct amount of tablets or capsules. The automated dispensing machines allow nurses in hospitals and clinic settings easy access to frequently used medications securely stores the medications, and maintains a perpetual inventory of them. In medication administration, technology such as computerized infusion devices, barcode medication administration, and electronic medical administration record, or EMARs, are used. Computerized infusion devices have error reduction systems to improve the safety of medications delivered intravenously or directly into the patient's bloodstream. In the acute care or hospital setting, the computerized infusion devices can be linked to the electronic medical record. So if the provider adjusts the rate of the infusion of the medication within the electronic medical record, the infusion device or smart pump will update automatically and will not require the nurse to manually change the rate. Barcode medication administration requires the nurse to scan the barcode on the patient's wristband and the barcode of the medication to ensure the 5 rights of medication administration. The right medication given to the right patient at the right dose at the right time. The only right not checked by barcode medication administration is the right route. The electronic medication administration record, or EMAR, is a portion of the medical record that allows healthcare team members to see when and what medications the patient was administered, along with identifying what the patient was not given. Informatics pharmacists contribute medication records to be used in the electronic medical record. Part of this process is to ensure that the medication description on the electronic medical record matches how the medication is labeled to ensure the nurse knows what medication to administer. The monitoring of medications can be documented either in the electronic health record or the electronic medical record. Wearable technology like non-invasive glucose self-monitoring devices measure the glucose levels in the patient's bloodstream. Combined with a smartphone app, a patient can have daily readings and track patterns of fluctuation in their glucose level. This data can be shared with the patient's healthcare providers. Health applications on your smartphone can remind you to take your medications. Data analytics and mining within the electronic medical record can be used to determine the effectiveness of drug therapy in preventing hospital readmissions for specific patient populations. Technology can also be utilized to drive population health. For example, cancer survival rates can be compared with different drug regimens to determine the most cost-effective treatment for patients. My name is Julie Puala. I am a graduate of the University of Illinois at Chicago College of Pharmacy. I completed a pharmacy practice residency at the University of Iowa Hospital and Clinics. After completing my residency, I was a clinical pharmacist in abdominal transplant and general surgery. Approximately 6 years ago, I joined the pharmacy informatics team at UW Health, which is the University of Wisconsin Hospitals and Clinics. One of my primary responsibilities as an informatics pharmacist is medication bills in order sets that are utilized within our electronic medical record. These order sets are groupings of orders that are used to standardize and expedite the ordering process of common clinical scenarios within our electronic medical record. They are designed to improve the overall prescribing behavior of clinical users and are key tools in clinical decision support and the prescribing step of the medication use process because they reduce medical errors, develop a safer healthcare environment, improve outcomes, and enhance workflows. For example, the general anti-infective order set used in our emergency department is arranged by the type of infection that the providers want to treat, and the medications are arranged in the order that they should be selected. For example, the first line agent is listed first, second line is listed second, and so on. So the ordering providers are able to quickly figure out what medications to use based on the type of infection and select the appropriate antimicrobial therapy for their patient. This allows for quick and appropriate clinical care. When completing the order set build, I strive to follow the best practices in clinical order set management for hospitals, which include having standardized builds, using evidence-based practices, ensuring that the order set consists of all the necessary information and requires prompts for all needed information. I make sure that the build aligns with the policies of our healthcare organization and the medications are part of the institutional formulary or list of meds that are stocked in our hospital. As an informatics pharmacist, I also have the opportunity to be involved in various pharmacy resident projects that involve our electronic medical record. One of the current projects that I'm working on is to interface the computerized provider order entry system with our automatic compounding pump in the dispensing portion of the medication use process. This project is aimed to enhance the efficiency, quality, and safety of the intravenous parenteral nutrition that we provide for our patients who are unable to eat. Our current parenteral nutrition workflow is that the nutrition support team enters the order into the electronic medical record in the prescribing step. The decentral pharmacist verifies the order for the parenteral nutrition in the pharmacy review step. Multiple steps comprise the dispensing step, which includes the pharmacist manually transcribing the order into another software system. This software fires critical alerts to the central pharmacist if the parenteral nutrition is not safe to prepare. Another central pharmacist independently checks the calculation transcription. The central tech also checks the transcription and aseptically prepares the parenteral nutrition. The central pharmacist then checks the transcription again and the prepared parenteral nutrition. Then the decentral pharmacist checks the transcription again prior to administration to the patient. There are lots of opportunities for error in this transcription process. When the interface is live between our electronic medical record and the automatic compounder, 4 steps of our parenteral nutrition workflow will be eliminated, mainly the transcription steps. The central pharmacist will not have to transcribe the order into another software system. The second pharmacist will not have to check the transcription. The central pharmacist technician will not have to check the transcription, and the decentral pharmacist will also not have to check the transcription. This is a major source of error in workflow, and these errors will be eliminated when the interface is live, and it will also free up the pharmacist to perform other clinical activities. The elimination of the other software system provided our department with the opportunity to replicate the clinical alerts in our electronic medical record. Prior to implementing the clinical alerts in our electronic medical record, the central pharmacist would have to contact the provider if any alerts fired in the dispensing step, and they had concerns about safely preparing the parenteral nutrition formulation. Now the provider can view the alerts during the prescribing step instead of hours later during the dispensing step. This enhancement allows our surgical nutrition staff to prospectively address maximum dose, minimum dose alerts, volume discrepancies, precipitation concerns, and also to review the caloric contributions of the protein, dextrose, and lipids. Medication warnings now appear dynamically in our electronic medical record. For example, if the amount of calcium in the parenteral nutrition therapy is too high, The system is configured to prevent the provider from ordering this medication. When these clinical alerts were not built into our electronic medical record, this type of problem would not be detected until the dispensing step of the medication use process. Now the errors are detected earlier in the prescribing step. Another area that I work on is antimicrobial stewardship. The Joint Commission is an independent, non-for-profit organization. It accredits and certifies nearly 21,000 healthcare organizations and programs in the United States. This accreditation and certification is recognized nationwide as a symbol of quality that reflects an organization's commitment to meet certain performance standards. On January 1st, 2017, a new medication management standard for antimicrobial stewardship came into effect. Some examples of these new standards include accountability documents, budget, infection prevention, performance improvement, and strategic plan, and using the electronic health record to collect antimicrobial stewardship data. As a result, our healthcare organization is completing a project to improve the tools in our electronic medical record used by our antimicrobial stewardship pharmacists who specialize in treating patients with infectious disease. A patient list was developed to identify all hospitalized patients who are on anti-infective agents. Our institution uses 144 rules to identify patients based on specific characteristics, and the patient is assigned an antimicrobial score. This score provides our pharmacists an opportunity to prioritize the patients that they review, since a high score correlates to a high-risk patient. A pharmacist can mark the patient as reviewed, which removes the patient from the list for 12 hours. A report also displays in the electronic medical record, which illustrates why the patients are flagged. Another feature of our electronic medical record that is employed for antimicrobial stewardship is the use of questions attached to the medication records in the prescribing step of the medication use process. Currently, the providers document the indication, site of infection, if cultures are ordered, the type of therapy, new, change, or continuation, and what organism they are trying to cover. We are evaluating these questions to determine the value of collecting this information in the prescribing step and figuring out how these questions can be streamlined. For certain antimicrobials, an authorizing prescriber or a protocol must be documented in order for the provider to continue ordering it. This method allows us to restrict the use of certain agents at our healthcare organization. Now I want to turn over the presentation to Dr. Dow.
My name is Tony Dow, and I attended the USC School of Pharmacy, graduating in 2012. During school, I took on many computer and data-related projects and developed a reputation of being the pharmacy student who does IT projects during didactics and rotations. After graduation, I was hired into an electronic health records transition team and subsequently hired as the clinical informatics pharmacist at Ventura County Healthcare Agency. I am certified in electronic health records and health information technology and have been practicing for 5 years. One of my roles at Ventura County is assisting the management of the BCMA system. BCMA means barcoded medication administration. This type of technology is used to help with the closing of the loop in the medication use process. In the hospital, with BCMA in place, the procedure is as follows. 1. Nurse scans the wristband of the patient to ensure it's the right patient. 2. Nurse scans the medication and the system checks if it matches the order and the order elements, such as dose, route, form, etc. 3. Nurse administers the medication and charts on the medication administration record, or the MAR. In order for the BCMA system to work correctly, there needs to be a database of medications and their corresponding NDCs. In addition, entries of the same medications that have different NDCs may be interchangeable. So, therefore, the build of the database needs to reflect that interchangeability. What you see here is multiple NDCs available for acetaminophen, and these are all stacked together so that scanning of any of these NDCs would be identified as the same particular acetaminophen strength. BCMA directly affects the administration step of the medication use process because it uses the technology to ensure that the administration step is accurate to the patient and the medication. This is the last step of the medication use process, and therefore the BCMA technology assists in closing the loop of the process. As I mentioned before, the BCMA technology helps in closing the loop. This slide illustrates the different technologies used to improve patient safety and care. Recall in the medication use process that there are about 3 or 4 copies of the same order. These order or order copies are as follows: the original order, the MAR transcribed order, and the pharmacy transcribed order. In the implementation of an electronic medical record system, all these order copies are no longer separate copies. There is one order that is created upon the order entry into the system, and that same order is used by the pharmacy and by the nurses in the MAR. BCMA assists in improving patient safety by ensuring that the medication scanned matches the information of the order entered by the provider. Since everyone is working off the same order at this point, instead of multiple copies of the order, this reduces the number of holes in the system and therefore reduces the chances of error. Should there be an error, BCMA would alert the nurse that the medication in hand or the patient's wristband needs to be reconfirmed. BCMA is a great tool when it is fully supported, but it is not without its drawbacks. One of the possible drawbacks is how hardware dependent it is. It requires the use of scanners, PDAs, and laptops. In addition, if a hospital is going from non-BCMA to BCMA, training would require a large amount of resources. The entire nursing staff of a facility or several facilities would need to properly train each other in order for a rollout to be successful, because it would be a significant modification to their normal workflow. Also, due to the constant nature of manufacturer changes and drug shortages, the maintenance of the database would require a significant amount of attention and upkeep. Every time a new medication is ordered or received in the pharmacy, the database must be updated to account for the new product. Some other issues of BCMA is that the technology isn't there yet to handle titratable meds, PCAs, and multi-ingredient or pediatric products. The nature of titratable medications such as norepinephrine is that they have a variability in the rates of administration. Because of this, BCMA would not be able to determine the proper rate that the patient would be receiving, since there's no real good way yet on determining what that rate would be. PCAs suffer the same issue because of the variability in the patient's self-administered dose. As for pediatric products and multi-ingredient drugs, these are problematic due to the nature of having multiple NDCs within one compounded product, so BCMA would be unable to accurately identify the product upon scanning. Since we're dealing with technology that requires scanning on a printed barcode, the other aspect that should be acknowledged is that BCMA can fail if the barcode is not adequately printed. Low-resolution barcodes or partially printed barcodes would bring problems to BCMA. In terms of barriers, there are many that would contribute to difficult implementation of BCMA. These are 4 of the major barriers. As mentioned previously, BCMA is highly dependent on equipment. However, the equipment used are all of very high cost. Budgetary constraints may prevent BCMA from being implemented due to the requirement of purchasing such a large number of high-cost items. A scanner, for example, can cost anywhere from $150 to $300 per scanner. In addition to budgetary constraints and high cost, resistance to change is another major barrier that needs to be accommodated. In order to reduce the amount of resistance to change, surveys can be done to assess staff readiness for implementation. The surveys also should be collected to see if there's any concerns or questions that the staff may have, and this data would be used to help assist in ensuring the smooth transition. Another barrier that is commonly presented is the lack of a consistent or reliable network infrastructure. BCMA is highly reliant on a strong network infrastructure in order for the whole process to be successfully implemented. Nurses will need to bring a computer into a patient's room and be able to scan the patient's wristband and medication without the network dropping. Some issues that currently happen in facilities is that the wireless network is not strong enough to reach the patient isolation rooms, and it's important that IT ensures strong network connectivity so failure does not occur. The last major barrier are socio-technical issues. Socio-technical issues refers to the individual and how they use technology. Because there is a wide variety of generations of nurses that have different experiences, it is hard to get everyone on the same level of technical skills. The answer to this is to provide a standardized education plan for all the nurses, but this remains a challenge because different BCMA users have different rates of learning and adaptability. The effect of BCMA on medication safety and patient safety have been studied in a number of studies in the past. In 2002, Johnson et al. Produced a study called Using BCMA Software to Improve Patient Safety. In this study, they look at the amount of medication error rates over a period of 8 years. The analysis of the data in comparison to baseline resulted in a conclusion that there is a 10 times reduction in medication errors after the implementation of their BCMA program. Similarly, in 2009, Hellmans et al. Conducted a study to observe the effects of implementing their BCMA program. This study occurred at the University of California, San Diego, and they implemented BCMA in their medical surge unit. They were able to see a 58% reduction in medication errors after the implementation of their BCMA program. A number of other studies also support the use of BCMA. The key point here is that BCMA helps reduce medication administration records and close the loop on medication process. An informatics pharmacist that supports BCMA would have a number of roles to follow. Being a pharmacist, one's understanding of the pharmacy operation workflow would greatly assist in developing processes to accommodate BCMA. This includes working with nursing to develop an overall workflow that ensures the 5 rights of medication administration are incorporated with the use of BCMA. In addition, the pharmacy department will likely deal with medication formulary changes. These may occur due to shortages, new manufacturers, new generics, and so on. The informatics pharmacist works with the supply chain piece and coordinates the database to be updated and accurate for proper downstream usage of BCMA. Every time a change occurs where there's a new NDC entered into the system, it would need to be tested and validated that the NDC is identified by the scan system before making it available for use. As an end-user pharmacist, one has an important role of filtering a user issue from a system issue. If the end-user pharmacist is properly trained to handle simple BCMA issues, it helps with the troubleshooting by allowing the informatics pharmacist to focus on the more significant system issues. Here is an example of a process that Ventura uses to validate the barcode of medication is properly inputted into the system. The key point here is the pharmacist involved in barcoding needs to verify the NDC entry on the unit dose and make sure that it is correctly entered into the system so that there is proper downstream BCMA identification. Outside of a pharmacist that works specifically on BCMA, the pharmacists in the workflow and staff also play an important role in helping troubleshoot the typical day-to-day phone calls in regards to issues of BCMA. We developed this flowchart to assist the inpatient pharmacist in asking the right questions and stratifying the issues to the appropriate response. If following this flowchart still yields no resolution, the issue is forwarded to the informatics pharmacist.
Hello, my name is AJ Tier, and I graduated from Butler University I completed a PGY1 at Memorial Hospital of South Bend and decided to complete a PGY2 at Indiana Health. I currently am a principal domain specialist at Vanderbilt University Medical Center working in their outpatient pharmacy group. I had known since I was a pharmacy intern that I wanted to be an informatics pharmacist, so this was the most established path to getting started. Working in the outpatient pharmacy with a medical center is a relatively new endeavor at a lot of hospitals. When I think about the difference between how outpatient and inpatient pharmacy support, I really am trying to support a business and its technologies to help make the hospital money. The applications and systems I support fall into the dispensing and monitoring phases of the medication use process. My following slides describe some of the systems and technologies I help support. The dispensing system is the bread and butter of the outpatient pharmacy. It allows the prescription management and is very important for the legal portion of dispensing medications. My main job is to test new upgrades and provided by our vendor, troubleshoot any issues that arise, set up any interfaces between the electronic health record, and support brand new initiatives that may involve the dispensing system. User management can be another large role, but the increase of a single sign-on system, one of my current projects is to incorporate this type of technology within the hospital's network and passwords. Depending on the dispensing system, medication therapy management or MTM services can be incorporated into the system by what we call an application programming interface or API, or by signing into the or the MTM's own management site. Other clinical programs that I work with setting up are refill management programs in our mail order system. We have a meds-to-beds program where we deliver outpatient medications to a patient's bedside at discharge. This involves a lot of coordination and process workflows with the inpatient medical team. All these programs require a dispensing system to be up to date and functional, because if something is not working, it may cause a delay in discharge. Another one of the newest projects, my new projects, is a prescription vending machine. These are used to free up the registers at the outpatient pharmacy and provide prescription pickup services to our employees who work nights. The idea is to increase the employee business from our competitors. Depending on the state, you may be required to provide counseling. Thus, we need to include video counseling or provide a telephone to talk to a pharmacist. This is a patient-facing piece of hardware, so it is important to be able to brand it with our hospital's logo, with which we have to work with our marketing team. It is also important to work with marketing so they can create promotional materials to help generate excitement about this new service. Finally, we need to make sure that patients can pay for these medications via credit card machine. This involves working with our billing department and making sure we do not breach any cardholder information. Another very important component of our outpatient pharmacy is our point of sale or POS system. This allows the pharmacy to accept credit cards, debit cards, cash, flexible spending accounts, and etc. Over the past several years, credit card data has become a very hot topic due to some high-profile breaches of information, such as the Target incident. A hospital does not want to be held liable for any breaches, so they have to put into place a lot of different policies and procedures to be compliant with the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, or PCI DSS. Some of which include changing your password every 90 days, maintaining a firewall, and regularly testing the system. Many hospitals have created their own PCI teams to help monitor and support anyone that accepts credit cards. Some of my projects include making sure that we have the technology to read EMV chips on credit cards and make sure that all the data in our point of sale, or make sure all of our data is point-to-point encrypted, or P2PE. This means that once you insert your credit card into the credit card machine, that no one other than the acquiring bank is able to identify the cardholder. Another very important technology is the Interactive Voice Response System, or IVR. This is the telephone refill system that guides prescribers and customers through the process of refilling and prescribing a medication. This system also requires similar maintenance as the other systems I've already talked about, but this is part of the core backbone that allows the pharmacy to function. Many pharmacies now have an interactive web response system, or IWR, that also allows their customers to pull up their medication profile on the internet and request a refill. It's very important for this type of system to allow password management, which allows the customers to create passwords and a method for resetting passwords if forgotten. A lot of people do not like talking on the telephone anymore and prefer self-service, so having an IWR can really drive up the customer base because it is convenient. Branding is also a very important piece of making an IWR successful, similar to how it was for our prescription vending machine. Our hospital's most recent endeavor is creating a mobile refill application. Sometimes having an IWR is not enough in this day and age, and customers want to have it in the palm of their hand anywhere they go. Creating applications and keeping them up to date can be a lot of work, so we have looked to contract out the work to a vendor. When picking a vendor, it is important to look at which cell phone operating systems they're compatible with. Another thing to think about is there could be several applications your hospital system has created, such as your patient portal, which could be annoying for patients to log into each system separately. Seeing if the vendor allows for a federated sign-on or single sign-on system for mobile applications could be very beneficial. An example of this is if you were logged into Facebook, you no longer have to log in separately to the Facebook Messenger application. As with the IWR, branding is also key, and it will require you to work with other hospital groups to make sure links in their mobile applications can pull up the prescription application. Text messaging, or SMS, is also an important resource nowadays. Usually this is a vendor-supported part of their system. It allows the pharmacist to ask questions and potentially receive important information. Unfortunately, at this time, there's not a great way of encrypting text messages, so there needs to be policies in place to providing protected health information to customers. Another new concept a lot of hospitals are using is a central fill pharmacy. We use this type of pharmacy to help fill our automated dispensing cabinets in our inpatient hospitals and allow outpatient clinics to reorder medications for outpatient procedures. This can be a very complex process and involves a lot of infrastructure and technology. Some of the technology that we use are extra large carousels and open stock system technologies. We also have to have our software keep track of orders and fulfillment for these outpatient locations. Part of the infrastructure also includes a system to support our specialty pharmacy and mail order pharmacy. We utilize a high volume dispensing robot, which is basically a conveyor belt system to keep track of shipment containers combined with small volume dispensing robots that fill prescription bottles automatically and label them. The last piece of the puzzle is linking up with shipping software so packages are shipped out correctly with the most appropriate delivery method. This software decides the best way to ship based on the zip code, for example, next day, UPS, FedEx, or USPS, depending on the type of package. The last huge area that our outpatient pharmacy helps support is the specialty pharmacy. We help with the conversion of clinics that were previously on different specialty systems, troubleshooting issues, and making sure that we are able to interface with our electronic health record. An important piece to be able to provide specialty medications is URAC accreditation. We make sure the pharmacy is able to provide all the necessary documentation that is needed to stay accredited, along with providing information to URAC. It is also necessary to provide insurance companies and drug manufacturers data to show market value, so they may allow us to become distributors of their medications. Some important modules within our specialty pharmacy system include the benefits investigation and opportunity management to help determine potential customers, prior authorization and financial assistance programs, which track every step of the PA documentation and appeals process. It also provides dispensing tracking system to help mimic our dispensing system so it can alert pharmacists and technicians when patients need to set up for refills. And finally, an assessment documentation portion is key to making sure all counseling is done appropriately and hopefully provides integration with our electronic health record. That is the end of our webinar on the role of pharmacists practicing in informatics. If you need to contact one of us, our contact information is provided below. Thank you for attending this webinar.